One more time. Good morning. Excellent. Everybody's here. All right. Excellent. People online, can you hear sound? Can you give any indication with a message? Okay. Well, I'm going to carry on. So this session, nature-based climate solutions. We will delve into the multifaceted journey of Canada towards achieving a net zero emission. This session will explore the latest advancements in carbon capture, regulations, and sustainable practices, and innovation that are instrumental in mitigating Canada's carbon footprint. We'll hear second from Jenny Peters, Director, Research, Eco-Canada. Jenny is an economist with a PhD in economics. Makes sense if you're in economics, you have a PhD in economics, from Texas A&M University. Jenny is responsible for the management, execution, and delivery of environmental labor market information projects, working with an army of professionals comprised of staff, consultants, strategic advisors, and subject matter experts. We also have Alexander Stevens, Associate Director at Future Skills Center. Since 2001, Alex has been working on various initiatives related to education, skills, and labor market development issues. He began his career as a researcher with the Canadian Labour and Business Centre, where he contributed to many projects dealing with skills shortages in Canada. Please help me welcome up Alexander.
Yes. Great. Okay. Oh, I think you're. It's still good. Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, and we don't need to turn on the mic, right? So good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody online. I'm Alex Stevens, Associate Director for Research and Evaluation at the Future Skills Center, which is a research and innovation unit that is based out of Toronto Metropolitan University, formerly called Ryerson. And we're an organization funded by Employment and Social Development Canada, and we've been around since 2019. Our mission is to seed and evaluate and disseminate evidence about innovation across Canada in tackling difficult skills development issues in this country. So since 2019, we've invested about $250 million in about 150 different projects with partners all across Canada, from big institutions like colleges and universities to very small community agencies, little groups up north, and all across Canada, working in different parts of the skills ecosystem, as we call it. Among those partners, Eco-Canada has got 2 projects with us, one of which you'll be hearing about today. We're very proud of these projects as they're tackling some key issues. The Future Skills Center is now increasingly focusing on a few priority areas, and one of those is what we call the sustainable jobs and sustainable futures area. So increasingly we'll be looking to target our knowledge mobilization work and the work that we sponsor in terms of looking at projects that tackle future skills problems that are posed by this transition to the net zero economy that we're going through and will increasingly more quickly go through as well. And it poses big problems in terms of moving workers from declining sectors to growing sectors and making sure they have the right mix of skills, and that sustainability is worked into skills across all sorts of occupations. So we have many partners across the country working on one aspect or another of this issue. And I think with that, I won't say anything more. I just wanted to present the Future Skills Center and say that we're very proud to be working with Eco-Canada on these couple of projects. And so I will turn it over to Jenny Peters. Thanks.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
All right. So first off, I want to say that this is our first attempt at a hybrid webinar. So if things go awry, just please be patient with us. First off, I need to share my screen so that you guys can see the actual slide deck. Oh, host disabled participant screen sharing. So we need to change that. So just to give you some idea, this project has been running since, I think, November of last year. And the project itself had a lot of different components to it, not just the research that we're going to be talking about today. The wage funding that we contributed to, we did training, we did wage funding for participants to get them into the nature-based solutions space, and we had some really great training sessions with some really great feedback. I'll get Evelyn up at the back there, a big round of applause. She's our project manager for this project, and so she did a fantastic job of getting all of the people involved in a very short period of time. So we're looking to leverage this going forward. We want to take this training that we did for introducing people to nature-based solutions and leverage it across the country. I think we're starting with a session that's going to be held in Ottawa, and we're going to be doing this for Indigenous communities as well. So I'm very excited to talk a little bit about that. Try again. All right, let's see here. Share screen, perfect. All right, there we go. Let's see here. We'll make it look like slideshow. How are we doing? All right, great, excellent. So just to give you some flavor of what we do at EcoCanada in terms of research is we focus on workforce needs, skills gaps, workforce strategies. We try to develop new ways of understanding and providing ideas for new types of innovative training solutions and that sort of thing. In this particular case, we focused on Alberta and British Columbia, and we focused on the nature-based solutions in a number of different areas, including coastal restoration, watershed restoration, land reclamation and remediation in mining and oil and gas, and then wildfire mitigation in forestry sector. We know that there are a lot more sectors out there that focus on nature-based climate solutions or that involve nature-based climate solutions, but we had to narrow the spectrum of what we were working on, so that's our focus today. So today I want to talk about a workforce for nature-based climate solutions and green infrastructure. So we revealed, or we identified a number of key occupations that are important, not just for these particular subsectors, but will be important for a lot of other nature-based climate solutions work, and some specialized skill sets needed for each of those different components as well. To simplify things, we narrowed the discussion down to three broad occupational groups that were key to nature-based climate solutions: the tradespeople and laborers who do the on-the-ground actual rehabilitation and reassessment and restoration of the workforce, of the nature. We talked about technicians, technologists, engineers, and scientists who do a lot of the planning and design of these projects. And then the managers and supervisors who are also actively involved in bringing together the whole team and getting it up and running. As I said before, we focused on four basic sectors of nature-based climate solutions. Again, that's not exhaustive, but we looked at coastal restoration. In particular, we looked at climate adaptation efforts in coastal restoration and also flood prevention and habitat restoration. We looked also at watershed restoration, and in this case we looked at two components again: erosion and sediment control and flood and drought mitigation. In the mining and oil and gas sector, we focused on land reclamation and land remediation, and then in forestry, wildfire mitigation and management.
Recording in progress.
So we identified some specialized skill sets that are needed for the various different types. Oh, sorry, we've got a little bit of reverb there. Are we doing okay? All right, let's try again. Nope, we're still, let's see here. No, I'm not muted. I'm muted, so, well, I'll keep going. I'm sorry? Oh, mine says mute. I think we need to mute in the back there. How are we doing? Isn't technology exciting? Let's see, how's it going? All right, perfect, there we go, all right. Now we've got forestry, sustainable forestry management, and timber harvesting techniques were specialized skill sets in the forestry sector. In the mining and oil and gas, land remediation and land reclamation sector, we looked particularly at environmental impact assessment, but also at reclamation activities and sustainable mining practices. For coastal restoration, we focused on habitat restoration, marine ecology, and coastal engineering as specialized skills that are in demand there. And then for watershed restoration, hydrology, soil conservation, and sustainable land use planning. In our research, we also looked at different types of labor supply issues, and in particular, we focused on educational requirements, educational needs for the nature-based climate solutions sector. And we explore a little bit about the kind of the shifting demand for various different types of educational programs, potential shortages for particularly tradespeople going forward, and also the need to combine formal education with work integrated learning practices or on-the-ground experience. We know from our own educations, I imagine, that when we got out into the workforce, there was a whole lot more that we had to learn that we didn't have any idea about when we graduated. And that's the same for our candidates here in nature-based solutions. We also looked at the fact that diversity across these different sectors means that we need to have a lot of continuous learning, we need to have a lot of upskilling, and we need to have a balanced approach to training the individuals in the marketplace, the workers in the market. So let's focus on some of the overview of the presentation. We're going to be looking at key occupations and specialized skill sets. We're going to look at education and training, and then we're going to talk about nature-based climate solutions and green infrastructure in general. All right, so let's move on. So, okay, for the, oh, again? Okay, are we good? Nope, we're still seeing an echo, hearing an echo up here. Let me try again. Okay, we've got some new technology going on here, so let's try this. Okay, good. All right. Oh, no. Still got echo. Okay, I'm going to keep talking, and I hope you can understand what I'm saying, despite the echo. Yes?
You're not, you were like, not muted. You're good. I think it's okay.
Okay. Well, my screen says that I'm muted, so I'm a little confused. Okay, anyway, nature-based climate solutions, what are they? Well, basically, it's using nature to solve climate problems. So what we want to do is we want to take advantage of the fact that nature is a carbon sink in a lot of ways, and that forestry and oceans help us to mitigate some of the carbon emissions that we have going out there into the marketplace, into the atmosphere. We want to use these natural ecosystems as opportunities for solving our climate change problems. So green infrastructure is an area or a part of nature-based climate solutions where we're building up green infrastructure, we're building up natural areas, enhancing air and water quality, reducing water and flood control, reducing floods, supporting biodiversity, and providing recreational spaces with a variety of different benefits. So green infrastructure and sustainable nature-based climate solutions work together in order to help us to fix some of these climate issues. Now, to give you some flavor of some of the types of projects that we're talking about, we looked at a wide variety of different projects. These are just some sample projects. But we had in the coastal restoration, we identified the Cowichan Estuary Restoration Project, which is funded by Fisheries and Oceans Canada, and it was operated by the Estuary Resilience, the Nature Trust of BC. For forestry, we also looked at the NASCO Wildfire Risk Reduction Project, which is being operated and conducted by NASCO Logging Limited and funded by the Forest Enhancement Society of British Columbia. In mining and oil and gas, we looked at the removal of the mineral footprint and restoration of freshwater peatland, funded by the Environment and Climate Change Canada Department, and looking at work done by the Centre for Boreal Research at NATE. And then lastly, we looked at watershed restoration, and one example of that type of project is the Pembina River Watershed Shorelines Project, which was undertaken by Athabasca Watershed Council and funded by Alberta Environment and Parks. So when we look at the nature-based climate solutions space, we see that there's actually a lot of overlap between these various different types of restoration and remediation projects. But let's start with coastal restoration as an example. When we look at the coastal restoration for climate adaptation purposes, the overall strategy is to enhance coastal resilience, protect marine ecosystems, and provide sustainable response to climate change impacts. Key occupations, well, we always need managers. We need somebody who's going to run the show. In this case, many of these managers fall into a specific occupational classification called senior managers, construction, transportation, production, and utilities. And that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of the work that's being done in this sector is construction work, whether it's in a watershed restoration, rebuilding coastlines, or combining the various different components of remediation and reclamation in oil and gas. We also need lots of scientists, biologists in particular, because they're the ones who are going to tell us what the impacts of the economic activity, the human activity has had on the area, and what could be done to help resolve the issue. We also see civil and mechanical engineers and heavy equipment operators in high demand, as well as the contractors and supervisors of those heavy equipment crews. So for specialized skill sets, we identified environmental engineering and hydrology as one of the big components of coastal restoration activity. Of course, there's a lot of demand for knowledge about ecology and the biological sciences. And then, in order to get these projects up and running and on the ground, we need the project managers and the construction skills in order to be able to make it run. In terms of flood prevention and habitat restoration, the overall strategy there is to integrate flood prevention with the ecological restoration. So to put those two things together to solve two problems at once. We also want to create sustainable and resilient coastal landscapes. Now you're going to see this in a number of slides. A lot of these same occupations appear across the various different types of operations. So again, we've got the senior managers, we've got the biologists, we've got the heavy equipment operators, the civil engineers, and the heavy equipment crews as being important individuals in the coastal restoration for flood mitigation. Again, ecological design and wetland engineering are particularly important skill sets that we need to nourish and ensure we have got an adequate supply of people who can do that. Risk assessment and environmental consulting is another aspect of the work that's important that we need to build skills for. And then sustainable construction and restoration. Looking at the forestry, wildfire mitigation and management component, the idea, of course, is to make sure that our forestry activities are being done in a way that sustains the forest and allows us to help prevent those wildfires that are becoming such prominent aspects of our summer, especially in Alberta and British Columbia these days. So we want to mitigate the wildfire risks, we want to preserve forest biodiversity, and protect communities in fire-prone areas. Now, in this case, we've got some slightly different occupations in high demand. Of course, forestry professionals are a key to forestry management, but we also have engineering managers and geomatics and meteorology specialists. You're doing great. Just ignore this. I have to unmute. Okay. It should be that one. Okay. Keep going. Okay. All right, thanks. In terms of key occupations from the forestry industry itself, we've got the forestry workers, the chainsaw and skidder operators, the logging and forestry laborers, and the forestry technologists and technicians are all involved in the wildfire mitigation space. In terms of specialized skill sets, we identified fire ecology as one of the key aspects of the work that gets done in the wildfire mitigation space, forestry operations, and of course firefighting, because the fires do happen, and then emergency management and planning are also key skill sets in this particular area. Looking at land remediation, we see that the mining and oil and gas sector objectives are basically to take the land back to its natural state after the industrial activity has completed. So we want environmental restoration, we want to reduce any risks coming out of the work that had been done, the industrial activity, and return the land to a sustainable use. Now here we've got a couple of new occupations as well. Geoscientists appear in the top section, as well as mining, quarrying, and oil and gas supervisors. They're the ones who are going to understand how to actually get the well cleaned up and get the well capped and remove any residual activity. But we also need people who are drilling, servicing, and laborers, well drilling and related workers, and extraction activity supervisors. Environmental science is one of the top occupations needed for the land reclamation and remediation in mining and oil and gas, as well as engineering expertise. Waste management is also another skill set which is important. We need to be able to dispose of any toxic or hazardous chemical waste or any in a safe and sustainable fashion. And then ecological restoration, again, we want to take that land, once we've removed the hazardous waste, we want to take that land back to its natural state so it can be reused. So again, in land reclamation, we want to revitalize communities, we want to enhance the biodiversity in that area, and we want to contribute to the compliance of regulatory requirements as part of that work. We see some of the same support operators, the mining and quarrying supervisors, the field laborers, the drilling and servicing specialists, but we also see some forestry workers in this space, and also in the professional scientific and technical consulting services firms. We see a lot of need for the ecological experts who are going to explain what the restoration is going to look like. We have senior managers and engineering managers, and then policy leaders as well as key occupations. Environmental planning expertise is a key element of the skills needed for this type of work, as are forestry and reforestation skills and the monitoring skills, making sure that the restoration is being done in a sustainable fashion. Next, we'll look at watershed restoration, and we've got two components to that. One is erosion and sediment control. In this case, we want to stabilize the soil, improve the water quality, restore natural habitats, manage water flows, and educate and engage communities to promote awareness. Many of the same occupations appear again. Biological, forestry, and landscape technicians, biologists and forestry professionals, construction millwrights, that's a new one. We haven't seen that one before. Senior managers appear again, civil and mechanical engineers again. We have civil engineering technologists and technicians on the list here. And we also have other life science experts, forestry professionals, and logging and forestry supervisors as key occupations. For specialized skill sets, geological analysis becomes important when we look at the watershed restoration, as is infrastructure design and construction, and vegetation management and forestry practices. For watershed restoration, flood and drought mitigation, we're looking at stabilizing water levels, protecting aquatic ecosystems, improving water management again, restoring the natural hydrology, and promoting sustainable land use. And again, a lot of these same occupations appear: biologists, scientists, civil, mechanical engineers, senior managers, contractors and supervisors in heavy equipment, and civil engineering technologists and technicians. So one of the things that I take away from these findings is that there is a heavy demand for these types of occupations across all of these different subsectors. We also know that there's a heavy demand for these occupations in other industries outside of nature-based climate solutions. So that signals to me that we're going to have a challenge finding people qualified to do the work. In terms of specialized skill sets, we're going to talk a little bit about we're going to see data analysis being an important component of that, green infrastructure design and construction, and vegetation management as well. So with these shortages that are potentially looming in terms of project managers looking for the right skills to get their projects underway and succeeding, we want to overcome these, we want to talk about overcoming these talent challenges. So one of our key messages from our report is that advancing these sectors, and in particular nature-based climate solutions and green infrastructure, requires a focused strategy on nurturing a skilled, adaptable workforce, adaptable being one of the key aspects of it, ready to meet environmental and sustainability challenges. A lot of this work is project-based, and so these are often short-term contracts that people are working on. And in order to continuously be employed, they need to be able to continue to find work. Being adaptable, having the skills that they need in order to do the job, but being adaptable and being able to shift from sector to sector is one aspect of the workforce which is going to be particularly important for nature-based climate solutions work going forward. So as I mentioned, one of the challenges that employers and project managers have is navigating the skill demand across a wide variety of sectors. Creating attractive career paths. Again, if we're dealing with project-based work, it can be a challenge for a worker to see themselves long-term developing the skills that they need and developing a career in this area. And then addressing any skills gaps that exist. We know that civil and mechanical engineers do a lot of different types of work, but they need the specific information regarding ecological and biological impacts and remediation in order to be able to do the nature-based climate solutions work. So addressing skills gaps is also a concern and in recruitment and retention. So when we look at the preparing the workforce, we want to be proactive. We want to identify what's needed first, and then help set up a success plan for people, a pathway to success for people to be able to succeed in their jobs. Integrating education and training into the workforce, helps to pull people in from a variety of different types of backgrounds. You don't have to have a background in nature-based climate solutions to work in nature-based climate solutions. That's a big part of the reason that we had these training sessions, was to introduce people from other sectors to the work that's done in nature-based climate solutions. We also know that there's a lot of interdisciplinary work that takes place in nature-based climate solutions. So we need people who are not just well-versed in their own particular field, but can also speak the language of other disciplines as well. And then continuous learning. New technology, new approaches, new processes evolve over time, and continuous learning and adapting is going to be critical for developing the nature-based climate solutions workforce. So, in summary, we've got some challenges that we're facing here, and again, I'll speak a little bit to the challenges that are faced by all sectors, which is, retirees, baby boomers retiring and losing a lot of the knowledge base at the senior management level. But we've also got a lot of new entrants into the marketplace who are enthusiastic, they're excited, they've got some great technical skills, but they may not have the on-the-ground experience that they need in order to be able to get the work done on the first day. So they need the training, they need the supervision, they need the oversight in order to be able to do the job. So, if you want to take a closer look at our report, you can click on this QR code, and there's also a postcard on each of your tables, which provides you with a QR code for that report as well. It's just been published on our website. All of our research at Eco-Canada is available for free on our website, so once you get to the nature-based climate solutions, don't stop there. Take a look at a lot of the other research and training opportunities that we have. So let's see if you guys have any questions, and we'll see if we've got any questions online and any questions in the audience. Yes, please go ahead, Harvey. Harvey's got a poll that he's going to launch. Yes. So first question, with your current skill set, could you make a successful crossover to another sector discussed today? So forestry and watershed, or mining to coastal restoration? Let's see. So we've got a lot of not sures there. Okay, all right. So what this tells me is that Eco-Canada has a lot more work to do. In order to understand what the specific skills are, what the competencies required are going to be for the various different types of work, and getting that out there into the marketplace so people can understand what is required and determine for themselves whether they could easily transition or not. So those are great results. I saw that you had a question.
Yes, thank you. I'm not sure if, well, thank you for your presentation. It's fantastic to see that there's research in looking at our gaps. I've been in the industry for about 20 years, so I've seen things evolve from when I started my career. One gap I'm seeing is we have a lot of biologists that work for us, and we do a lot of environmental monitoring. And I have an environmental science degree, and a lot of our staff come in with environmental science degrees, but we and our clients need us to have ASPB, so professional biologist designation, but a lot of the environmental science degrees don't qualify for that, but yet they have the skills. As they come out of school, the juniors will go out into the field, they're mentored by our professional biologists, and they really struggle getting that ASPB. And a lot of our staff will get environment EP designations, which is fantastic, but we require an ASPB stamp. How can we bridge that gap? Because I'm seeing that as a huge gap in the training and ability to get both EP and PBio designations.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. I think there are a couple of ways that we can start to address that gap. One is to talk, to collaborate with the pea biologist or the biologist organizations about the qualifications that these environmental scientists are coming into the workforce with, so that they're not seeing environmental science as a separate entity, but understanding that there are going to be people that have that qualification. So to transition away from the idea that to be a biologist, you have to have a biology degree. So that's one way. Another way is for Eco-Canada to continue to work towards getting the EP to be a regulated certification. And we've done a little bit of work in that space. We've put in some applications in British Columbia in order to get it to be a regulated certification. We're still working on that, but it is a long-term process, because when you're dealing with a regulatory body, then you've got a lot of hoops to get through. So I think those are two ways that we can do that. Having your insights being passed along to both organizations is going to go a long way to helping both organizations broaden their horizons and understand that the gap exists and see how we can resolve it. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Well, not so much a question, but just trying to buttress your point. The College of Applied Biology in British Columbia, RPB Bio, they've already started that.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they have sections for environmental erosion and sediment control, wetlands, and all these things. So you may want to check out their website and see what is going on there. Yeah.
Excellent. Good. Thank you for that feedback. All right. Can you tell something more about management-based roles in all of these sectors? For someone with no technical expertise but interest to work in the sustainable sector, what should be the roadmap? Excellent question. We know that there are a lot of opportunities for managers with a project management background to step into roles in the nature-based climate solutions space. So building those project management skills is going to be one of the ways that you can move into the nature-based climate solutions work. Another way is to gain as much experience as you can working with interdisciplinary teams. So finding opportunities to bridge the gap between professionals of various different backgrounds, and incorporating that sort of experience into your resume, into your CV, is going to go a long ways as well. So I would say that those are probably two main ways. I guess the other way you can do is take a biology course. Take an introductory course in biology or ecology, just to kind of get your feet wet in terms of that terminology and what's going on there. So that's, I guess, my other suggestion. Do chartered professional accountants have an opportunity in the sector? Oh my goodness, that's a very specific question. Well, we didn't see that as a key occupation, but we know that CPAs, of course, are required for all project management. So I don't see that being a constraint to a CPA who wants to work for one of these organizations. The key thing to keep in mind there, though, I think, is you're going to be working for organizations that aren't necessarily for-profit organizations, and the salaries may not be commensurate with what you could get at a Big Four company, for example. So there may be some salary expectation adjustments needed if you want to switch into the nature-based climate solutions space. All right. So I did a PhD in biochemistry, microbiology, and postdoctoral research in various fields of life sciences. I'm also studying project management. Is there any way into an opportunity in Eco-Canada? Well, Eco-Canada, we don't do nature-based climate solutions ourselves, but we do connect professionals to one another in various different environmental spaces. So I'd say the first thing to do is to consider becoming becoming an environmental professional with an EP certification. That will bring you into our network of professionals and give you an opportunity to explore mentorship programs, training programs, other types of opportunities for networking like this Eco Impact event, as well as other opportunities for potentially wage funding or immigrant bridging programs. So that's another example of how you might be able to find an opportunity. One more question here, and then I'll talk to the fellow in the back. Thank you for your insightful presentation. You're welcome. Can you give a general overview of priority occupations for immigrations to fill a skills gap without displacing Canadian workers? Okay, so that is actually an interesting question, because we were recently asked by ISED, and I don't remember what the acronym stands for. It's Industry Canada Department, and they were asking basically the same question: is what are the occupations that are going to be in demand that we need to consider attracting people from abroad to fill in Canada? And so there are a number of occupations that we've mentioned here today that are going to be in short supply of workers, including the civil and mechanical engineers, including the biologists and forestry professionals, and including the senior managers in construction and transportation. So in a lot of cases, we're looking for people with very specific technical skill sets and with some experience that they can bring to the Canadian marketplace as well. Yes.
Hi. So I have a question. It's like, this question is for a friend anyways. And it's very similar to the previous question, that someone has no technical experience but wants to go into management. But this time around, this person has tons of technical experience and now wants to move into management kind of in the same sector.
Excellent.
And it's been so difficult, because when they see the resume, they'll be like, oh, you have lots of technical skill, technical experience, but no management skill. So how would you advise this person? What can this person do to be able to get into the management role rather than just staying in the field for the rest of his life?
No, that's a great question. Well, I'm going to put in a plug for some of the Eco Canada training that we've got. We do understand that there are individuals who are looking to get into management roles from a more individual contributor type role, and there are a lot of skills that are very unique to management that you're not going to have gotten while you were in the field or on the job. So we've got training for project management, and we've got training for senior leadership, but I would also encourage you to take some of those courses at continuing educational institutions like the University of Calgary and SAIT and Mount Royal University if you're here in Calgary. They offer great leadership and management training courses, and just putting a few of those on the CV, on the resume, can help signal to the employer that you're serious about the development, about your career path going forward. And that'll be a way for them to say, okay, you've put in some time, you've made an investment, you're serious about the management training, we can take you the next step. So that would be my recommendation. That's what I did. Basically, I got thrown into management, and then I had to train myself. So I can see where you're coming from there. Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. Oh, yes, one question at the back there. Sorry.
That's all right. Did you look at the opportunity for, in a way, nature-based solutions are depending on the example, they could be a different option versus engineer-based solutions. Mm-hmm. And I, in many occasions, with that opportunity, what the discussion is, traditionally we've been doing engineer-based solutions to mitigate, right? Mm-hmm. And the nature-based solution offer an opportunity. So I was wondering if you look at the comparing both, I guess, approaches and then the skill sets. I guess the skill sets required to now mainstream this new sector. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I guess it's not necessarily that the mitigation or the engineer-based solutions are being displaced by nature-based solutions, but perhaps are offering now a new market. And again, okay, well, what that kind of market is offering, I don't know if you look into that in the report.
Well, we didn't explore that specifically, but that's an excellent point, which is that, transitioning into the nature-based climate solutions doesn't mean you have to change occupations. You can be working in engineering solutions, and if you're serious about making an economic and environmental contribution, and you want to find work in the nature-based climate solutions space, then find opportunities to look for those projects, look for those specific opportunities, whether it's within your own company or whether it's looking outside your company. But I agree, I don't think that there's necessarily, you're not pulling away from the engineering solutions, you're just broadening the skill set of those who are involved in engineering solutions so that they also include these other perspectives, this kind of climate lens to the work that they're doing. Okay. So I did chemical engineering and graduated in 2021, and I have experience of 4 years in production and manufacturing. Do I stand any chance of getting a job in Canada? Well, you know that the current policy in Canada is, I think, 500,000 immigrants over the next 10 years. So there seems to be a lot of opportunity for people who are passionate to come to Canada to find work in the country. One of the challenges that immigrants have coming into Canada is no Canadian work experience. And Canadian culture and Canadian work culture can be quite different than the work cultures in other areas of the world. So when you do find an opportunity to come to Canada, if you're interested in doing that, then I think the first thing to do, again, is to connect with other people in the industry that you're interested in working in through an organization like Eco-Canada. Again, we'll tout Eco-Canada, and take advantage of wage funding opportunities where new workers into the marketplace can be receiving subsidies for employment, or the employers can be receiving subsidies to help fund new workers. Look for the training opportunities, the networking opportunities. All of these are great ways to leverage your skills. Another opportunity that you might have, and I guess I'm kind of going back and forth on mentioning this, is of course taking some additional Canadian training is also a way that a lot of immigrants find their way into the workforce in Canada, is getting that Canadian educational experience, whether it's a certificate, a postgraduate certificate, or some sort of short-term micro-credential, but getting that Canadian training and being able to leverage that into a position as well. So, I think that's it then. I'll pass it back over to Harvey.
How about a round of applause for Jenny? Thank you. That concludes this session. The next session starts at 11:15, so you have a quick break. Enjoy, and we'll see you all in the Eco Conference as it carries on.